Time for discussion with everybody here at the end. Right now, we're going to have a little discussion with some people who know a lot about what's going on and issues having to do with equity and transportation and so forth. And our Amanda Tim from Liz Houston will make this happen.
Thanks, David. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us through a lot of discussion. So our panel discussion today is called Looking Forward, Next Steps Toward Ensuring that MAP 21 implementation advances greater opportunity for all. I'm Amanda Tim. I'm the Executive Director of the Houston Office of LISC, the Local Initiative Support Corporation, and we work with communities and community-based organizations in Houston and around the country on a variety of issues related to neighborhood revitalization. We're very fortunate to have a diverse panel today to talk about what this work looks like in Houston and how we should think about this opportunity that MAP 21 gives us. So we're going to talk about some of the initial ideas around government, philanthropy, business, advocacy groups, nonprofits, and how all those entities can work together to take advantage of the opportunities and challenges that will be coming our way with MAP 21 and how we can work together toward equity in the region. So our three speakers that we have here today are Monique Ward with Metro, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, Dr. Bob Bullard with Texas Southern University, and Jay Blazek Crossley with Houston Tomorrow. Each of our panelists are going to take just a few minutes to do a further introduction of themselves and their organizations and talk about their organization's role in transportation, and then we'll have some discussion as well. Monique?
Thank you, Amanda. I've been very fortunate to work at Metro for about 5.5 years, and I really am not going to talk about my background or anything. I just want to say that I get to do some really neat things and work on what I think is the bleeding edge of collaboration and transportation opportunities. So I'm going to just share a little bit about Metro's background, just for the context of this discussion. Metro, I mean, you guys know most of this, but just as a little refresher, we have a service area that's more than 1,200 square miles. We have more than 1,230 buses. We have rail, the one rail line that you're all familiar with. We have a Star Van program that has over 700 vans. We have HOV lanes, Metro Lift that provides over 1,700,000 rides a year for the disabled community. We have the technical MAP roadside assistance programs. A lot of people don't know that we do that. And we have Park and Ride. So those are some of the things that, just as far as the types of services that we currently provide. And as has been mentioned, we have the 3 rail lines that are currently under construction that are more than 60% complete that we look forward to having in 2014. And I wanted to give a little bit of background as far as who our customers are, some customer analytics. And they really do map to some of the general information that you kind of would project that this is who the customers are, and it's pretty logical. Our youngest riders that use local bus service are an average age of about 39, and the oldest are an average age of about 60 that use MetroLift, and the average age of our riders are about 48. And all this data is from 2011. We have a little bit more female riders than male riders, about 55% female. And as you can imagine, the further you go out, the more affluent our ridership is. And then, of course, they're taking Park and Ride service. And local bus riders are more concentrated in the urban core. And the ridership becomes more male as it goes out further. It's interesting. And about 56% of our riders on rail are male. And a little more data on the local ridership, because that's where you get communities, people of color, more concentrated, and the more disadvantaged riders who may have more impact from some of the federal changes in funding and from the shifts in demographics, and as the growth continues to move further out of the urban core. People of color make up 52%. Our local riders are 52% African American, 23% Hispanic, 17% white, 5% Asian, and 7% other. As you can imagine, the local riders have a very high level of transit dependency. 73% of them do not have access to a vehicle. And 37.2% of those riders have an income of $16,000 or less. And so I just think that that's important as we look at these changes in funding structures and equity. And I always like to talk about transportation equity and why should you care? Because everybody can live in their own bubble, in their own community, and go, okay, that's someone else's problem. Doesn't really affect me. Well, it really does, because it ends up costing you more if you don't address these issues, and it ends up impacting this region's economic competitiveness. That's my real approach to looking at why equity in transportation and diversity really matters. We are now the most diverse region or city in the country. So these factors in terms of transportation, equity, public health, and effective use of our resources and workforce competitiveness matter to every single one of us. And we can choose to ignore them, or we can embrace these things and really use our resources effectively. And that's really how the funding is shifting as far as I can see. Federal dollars are now being pooled with, agencies like HUD and EPA and Department of Transportation are bundling funds and then requiring state and local entities to collaborate, to work together, to really plan together, and to break down silos. So, I mean, you guys all know that, but it really means, being really a paradigm shift. It really does. So when you hear certain buzzwords, we really need to look at how do we all work together to be the most economically competitive region we can possibly be. And that means, how do we do things to engage our communities differently? How do we just not do what we've always done, which is maybe too often, I feel, still check the box in terms of public engagement and public involvement, hold a meeting at our ivory towers at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday and say, we've had community involvement, we've had public involvement, and that's nice. We've got to, I think, go where people are, partner and collaborate with communities and entities that are already out in the community, and really ask those people what they want to see. Right? I mean, we're starting to do that more, but there's a whole lot of territory I think we could do. Again, it'll be in our own best interest to do that, because if we make services more efficient and effective, we get better outcomes and better performance measures. So, I mean, it's really a smart thing to do. And Metro's really making a lot of strides in that area. We have a customer advisory committee now. We are now seen as a model in terms of Title VI in our reporting that we do agency-wide for the country. We are beginning to form other types of collaborative groups, and we are now playing more significant roles in collaborative grant projects like the regional plan project that Jeff talked about. And we also are partnering on a project with Harris County called Community Transportation Initiative. And transit really can play like this really great driving force and catalyst, I believe, in a holistic approach to economic competitiveness in this region. So I don't really want to talk a whole lot more than that. I could talk more about equity and transit equity. And if you guys want to hear more about that, I'm happy to share that. But it's really, to me, about let's think differently about engaging our communities and why it matters to all of us.
Thanks, Monique.
Thank you.
We will get a chance to talk about that more in a minute. Dr. Bullard, would you